The Titanic was dubbed unsinkable, much like the dream of Clive Palmer to recreate her.
The name itself sends ripples through history. Titanic, a symbol of Gilded Age luxury, groundbreaking engineering, and ultimately profound tragedy. For over a century, its story has captivated us. But what if that story wasn't finished? What if the ship of dreams could sail again?
At the time, we'd fully designed the ship and we're in the process of letting out construction contracts.
Well, buckle up, because the audacious project known as Titanic 2 is, according to its backer, very much back on the table. Today we're looking at the latest updates as of 2025. Is this finally happening?
Well, Titanic was the ship of dreams, and Titanic 2 is the ship where dreams will come true.
The legend of the RMS Titanic is etched into our collective memory, a marvel of its time swallowed by the icy Atlantic. But the dream of building its successor, a modern replica named Titanic 2, refuses to sink. First announced over a decade ago, the project seemed dead in the water, yet recent pronouncements suggest the engines might finally be warming up. We're digging into the status, the promises, and the hard realities facing this monumental undertaking in 2025. Just when many had written off Titanic 2 as another forgotten billionaire's whim, the project resurfaced with dramatic flair. In March 2024, Clive Palmer, the Australian mining magnate and the driving force behind the venture, held a press conference not just anywhere but under the iconic sails of the Sydney Opera House. The message was clear: Titanic 2 is back. After years of relative silence, punctuated by the global disruption of the COVID-19 pandemic, which Palmer cited as a major stalling factor, he declared his renewed commitment. He didn't just reiterate the dream, he put dates on it. Construction, he announced, was slated to begin in early 2025, specifically targeting January or February. The goal? To have the ship completed and ready for its maiden voyage by June 2027.
And the first ship will come into service, scheduled at the moment in June 2027.
This wasn't just a vague aspiration, it was presented as a concrete timeline, injecting a fresh dose of, if not optimism, then certainly intrigue into the long-stalled saga. Palmer seemed determined to convey that this time things were different, that the financial and logistical stars were finally aligning to bring his vision to life after more than a decade of waiting. Now, such a colossal undertaking obviously needs someone with deep pockets and perhaps an equally deep conviction. So who exactly is the man trying to resurrect this maritime legend? Clive Palmer isn't your typical buttoned-down businessman. The Australian mining billionaire, chairman of mineralogy and founder of the United Australia Party, has a reputation for being somewhat eccentric, undeniably wealthy, and prone to headline-grabbing projects. His net worth, estimated around $4.3 billion as of 2024, certainly puts the estimated $500 million to $1 billion cost of Titanic 2 within the realm of possibility for him. Palmer himself founded the Blue Star Line specifically for this project, naming it in the homage to the original Titanic's owner, the White Star Line. When asked about the cost and his commitment, Palmer hasn't been shy. He famously quipped, "I've got enough money to build the Titanic 10 times over," a statement that underscores both his financial capability and perhaps his characteristic bravado. His stated motivations often revolve around creating a tribute to the original ship and the spirit of those who built and sailed on her, offering a chance for people to experience that era, albeit with modern safety. Whether it's purely passion, a shrewd business move, or something else entirely, Palmer remains the central, indispensable figure in this saga. Okay, a billionaire with a dream and the money to back it. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, if only it were that simple. This project has a history, and it's one paved with delays. To really grasp where we are now, you need to understand why this ship hasn't already sailed. The journey of Titanic 2 has been anything but smooth sailing since its initial splashy announcement back in April 2012, timed deliberately near the centenary of the original sinking. The first target launch date was optimistically set for 2016. When that year came and went without a keel being laid, the date was pushed to 2018. Then silence fell, followed by a revised target of 2022. Each missed deadline chipped away at the project's credibility. What caused these repeated postponements? It's been a cocktail of issues. Financial disputes were a significant factor early on. Palmer had a well-publicized falling out in 2015 with the initially proposed Chinese state-owned shipyard, CSC Jinling, reportedly over payment disagreements related to Palmer's other business interests. This wasn't just a minor spat, it effectively halted progress for years. Further complicating matters were allegations in 2016 surrounding funds from Palmer's other company, Queensland Nickel, which went into liquidation, raising questions about financial management, though Palmer vigorously defended himself. Then, just as momentum seemed to potentially rebuild, the COVID-19 pandemic hit in 2020, grinding international projects and supply chains to a halt, providing a legitimate, globally recognized reason for the pause. This decade-long pattern of ambitious announcements followed by setbacks forms the crucial backdrop to the current skepticism surrounding the 2025/2027 timeline. Despite the setbacks, the idea of the ship itself has become more concrete over the years. So, if it ever gets built, what exactly are we looking at? What would sailing on Titanic 2 actually be like? The vision for Titanic 2 isn't just a ship that looks like the Titanic. The goal is to recreate the experience, albeit within the framework of 21st century regulations and passenger expectations. The ship is planned to be nearly identical in dimension to its predecessor, 269 meters, 883 feet long, and 32.2 meters, 105 feet wide. However, it will have a slightly larger gross tonnage, around 56,000 GT compared to the original's 46,328 GRT, likely due to modern structural requirements and amenities. It's designed to carry 2,345 passengers across 835 cabins, spread over 9 decks, remarkably close to the original's capacity, along with a crew of about 900. The commitment to historical authenticity runs deep, especially in the interior design. Renowned firm Tillberg Design of Sweden, known for their work on luxury liners and yachts, is tasked with recreating the iconic spaces. We're talking about the breathtaking grand staircase, the opulent first-class dining saloon, the veranda cafe, the smoking room, the Turkish baths, and even the more modest third-class general room and dining area, reportedly set to serve period-appropriate stew and mash. The plan extends to maintaining the original's class structure, first, second, and third-class accommodations, mirroring the social stratification of the era. Passengers will even be encouraged, though not required, to don period costumes to fully immerse themselves in the 1912 atmosphere. Preliminary plans and detailed 3D renderings have been showcased over the years, giving tantalizing glimpses of this floating time capsule. It's a delicate balancing act, evoking the spirit of 1912 while ensuring the vessel meets today's standards, a task involving firms like Finland-based Delta Marin, which reviewed the conceptual design for compliance with modern safety rules. Recreating the look is one thing, but everyone immediately thinks of the iceberg. The number one question has to be, how will Titanic 2 avoid repeating history's most famous maritime disaster? This is, understandably, the most critical aspect differentiating Titanic 2 from its namesake. While aiming for aesthetic fidelity, Blue Star Line has been adamant that safety will incorporate over a century of advancements in maritime technology and regulation. Gone are the riveted hull plates of 1912. Titanic 2 will feature a modern welded hull for significantly greater structural integrity. It won't be powered by coal-fired steam engines either. Instead, it will utilize a diesel-electric propulsion system, cleaner, more efficient, and far more maneuverable, likely featuring azimuth thrusters for enhanced docking and control. Crucially, the design incorporates modern navigational systems, advanced radar, GPS, satellite communication, and digital controls that were unimaginable in the early 20th century. Learning directly from the original disaster, the ship is planned to have an ice-strengthened hull, reportedly designed to meet PC-6 ice-class standards, offering moderate ice operating capabilities. Perhaps most visibly, the lifeboat situation will be drastically different. While the original Titanic tragically carried too few boats, though technically compliant for its time, Titanic 2 will carry enough modern, fully enclosed, motorized lifeboats for all passengers and crew. Renderings show these 18 boats positioned lower down, possibly on a dedicated boat deck above the promenade, complying with current SOLAS, International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea regulations, which mandate accessibility and capacity standards far beyond what existed in 1912. A bulbous bow is also included in the design for better fuel efficiency and stability. In essence, Titanic 2 is designed to look like the past, but operate firmly within the safety parameters of the present. Building a historically accurate yet modernly safe ocean liner sounds expensive. How much are we talking, and is the money really there this time? Building any large cruise ship is a massively expensive undertaking, let alone one with the unique requirements of replicating a historical icon while meeting modern standards. Estimates for Titanic 2's price tag have consistently hovered between $500 million and $1 billion US. That's a serious amount of cash, even for a billionaire. Clive Palmer, however, has consistently brushed off concerns about funding. His public statements project absolute confidence in his ability to finance the project personally. As mentioned, his estimated net worth of over $4 billion lends credence to this claim, at least on paper. His infamous quote about having enough money to build it 10 times over serves as a bold declaration of financial readiness. Unlike many large shipbuilding projects, which rely on complex financing structures, loans, and pre-sales, Palmer presents Titanic 2 as largely backed by his personal fortune. This direct funding model, if true, could streamline decision-making, but also ties the project's fate inextricably to Palmer's personal financial health and continued commitment. While the exact figure remains speculative until contracts are signed, the billion-dollar ballpark figure highlights the sheer scale and financial audacity of the endeavor. Whether these funds are truly liquid allocated and remain committed through the lengthy construction process is a key variable observers are watching closely. Money might not be the only obstacle, though. You can have all the cash in the world, but you still need someone somewhere to actually build the thing. And finding the right shipyard has been a major stumbling block. This is arguably the most significant current roadblock for Titanic 2. A project of this complexity requires a shipyard with extensive experience in constructing large, complex passenger vessels. The initial plan involved the Chinese state-owned CSC Jinling shipyard. However, that partnership dissolved years ago, plagued by financial disputes and reportedly concerns about the yard's lack of experience with ships of this specific type and scale, particularly luxury ocean liners. Furthermore, logistical challenges were cited, including the lack of a dry dock large enough to accommodate the vessel's construction at that specific facility. Since then, securing a new shipyard partner has been elusive. In his March 2024 announcement, Palmer stated his intention to put out tenders for the construction contract starting in June 2024, with the goal of signing contracts by December 2024 and appointing a shipbuilder before the end of that year. He specifically mentioned a preference for a European shipyard, which makes sense given Europe's long history and expertise in building sophisticated passenger ships. Think yards in Germany, France, Finland, or Italy. However, as of our current marker, late March 2025, there has been no official announcement confirming that a shipyard contract has been signed. This silence is significant. It suggests the December 2024 target for signing contracts was likely missed, casting doubt on the proposed early 2025 construction start. Finding a willing and capable shipyard, negotiating the contract, and finalizing the technical specifications is a massive, time-consuming process. Until a shipyard is officially named and contracted, the project remains firmly in the pre-construction phase, regardless of funding or design readiness. So we've heard the renewed promises, looked at the design, the safety, the money, and the big shipyard question. Let's bring it right up to date. It's late March 2025. Where exactly do things stand right now? As of today, March the 27th, 2025, the physical construction of Titanic 2 has not commenced, despite Clive Palmer's announcement almost exactly a year ago targeting an early 2025 start. No shipyard has broken ground, no keel has been laid. the crucial step of securing a signed contract with a suitable shipbuilder, which Palmer aimed to finalize by December 2024, appears to remain outstanding, as no official confirmation has been made public. This means the project is still very much in an advanced planning and logistical phase. What is likely happening behind the scenes involves continued work by the contracted firms like Delta Marine, ensuring regulatory compliance, V-Ship's leisure project support, and Tilburg Design, finalizing interior details. Negotiations with potential shipyards might be ongoing, or perhaps encountering further hurdles. The earlier phases of the project, like the model testing conducted way back in 2013 in Germany using a 9.3-meter wooden model, feel like ancient history now. The current status is one of anticipation, mixed with a healthy dose of skepticism due to the missed milestones. While Palmer's 2024 revival injected new energy, the lack of tangible progress on the shipyard front by March 2025 keeps Titanic 2 hovering in the realm of possibility rather than concrete reality. The early 2025 construction start is now clearly delayed unless news breaks literally any day now. It makes you wonder, with all the challenges, the cost, the delays, why persist? What's the deeper appeal of rebuilding this specific ship in the 21st century? Beyond Clive Palmer's personal drive, the enduring public fascination with the original Titanic certainly plays a role. It's more than just a ship. It's a powerful narrative about ambition, class divides, human error, and resilience. Building a replica taps into this deep cultural resonance. For potential passengers, it offers the promise of a unique, immersive historical experience, a chance to step back in time, albeit with modern comforts and safety nets. It's marketed not just as a cruise, but as a journey into history. There's also the argument, often voiced by proponents, that it serves as a tribute to the craftsmanship of the original builders Harland and Wolff, and to the memory of those who sailed on the maiden voyage. However, this tribute aspect is highly contentious, with many finding the idea insensitive or macabre, given the tragic loss of over 1,500 lives. For Palmer, beyond any personal fascination, there might also be a legacy element, associating his name with the resurrection of one of history's most famous vessels. And of course, the potential publicity and tourism draw, if successful, could be enormous, though its long-term economic viability remains a separate question. That potential is undeniable, but so are the shadows of doubt that hang over this project. It's faced criticism from day one, and the hurdles aren't just logistical. Skepticism has been Titanic 2's constant companion. The repeated delays and missed deadlines are the most obvious fuel for doubt. Many observers simply don't believe it will ever happen, dismissing it as vaporware or a recurring publicity stunt for Palmer. His personal track record includes other ambitious projects that haven't fully materialized, like a proposed Jurassic Park-style dinosaur park, which adds to the perception of grand ideas not always translating into reality. Beyond the logistical nightmare of securing a shipyard and managing construction, there's the public perception issue. Critics argue that replicating a vessel synonymous with such a horrific tragedy is disrespectful to the victims and their descendants. Is it a fitting tribute, or is it capitalizing on disaster? The debate continues. Furthermore, serious questions linger about the economic viability. Can a ship focused on historical replication, potentially lacking some of the sprawling entertainment complexes and diverse amenities of modern mega cruise ships like water parks, go-kart tracks, or massive theaters, truly compete in today's cutthroat cruise market? Will the novelty factor be enough to sustain bookings beyond the initial hype, especially given the likely premium price point? Experts wonder if the operational costs and the niche appeal can generate enough revenue to justify the immense initial investment. These doubts, historical, ethical, and economic, form a significant wave that Titanic 2 must overcome. Assuming they do overcome the hurdles, sign a shipyard contract tomorrow. How long does it actually take to build something like this? Is that 2027 date even feasible anymore? Building a large, modern passenger ship is a monumental feat of engineering and logistics, but the industry has become incredibly efficient. If, and it's a big if, construction were to begin relatively soon, say within the next year, meaning a contract signed very quickly. The June 2027 maiden voyage target isn't entirely impossible, though it would be tight. Generally, a cruise ship of Titanic II's size, around 56,000 gross tonnage, can take approximately 2 to 3 years to construct, from the first steel cutting to final outfitting and sea trials. Major shipyards often work on multiple vessels simultaneously, employing thousands of workers and coordinating complex global supply chains. The process involves assembling massive prefabricated blocks, intricate electrical and plumbing work, detailed interior outfitting, which could be particularly complex for Titanic II given the historical replication goal, rigorous testing, and multiple stages of trials. Therefore, if construction were to commence in earnest by mid to late 2025, a mid-2027 completion is technically achievable by a top-tier shipyard. However, any further significant delays in securing that shipyard contract push that 2027 date further towards the realm of wishful thinking. The clock is definitely ticking, and that maiden voyage itself is steeped in historical significance. What's the plan if the ship does eventually set sail? The symbolic centerpiece of the Titanic II project has always been its maiden voyage. The plan, reiterated by Palmer in 2024, is to directly retrace the original RMS Titanic's ill-fated route. The ship would depart from Southampton, England, sail across the North Atlantic, and arrive in New York City. This journey is laden with historical weight and would undoubtedly attract global media attention. The target date for this poignant voyage remains June 2027. Following this symbolic debut, Palmer has suggested the ship could potentially undertake world cruises, visiting various ports globally, functioning as a regular passenger liner, not just a one-off historical reenactment. Of course, the feasibility of that June 2027 date is now heavily dependent on immediate progress, with construction not yet started as of March 2025. Hitting that specific window requires rapid movement on the shipyard contract and an efficient build process without major unforeseen delays. It remains the target, but one viewed with increasing caution. So, Titanic II, is it happening? As of early 2025, Titanic II remains an ambitious blueprint, a persistent dream backed by billionaire conviction, but not yet a physical reality. The renewed push in 2024 brought it back into the spotlight, but the crucial step, a signed shipyard contract, is still missing, and the initial 2025 construction start seems to have slipped. Will Clive Palmer finally turn his decade-long promise into steel and steam? Or will Titanic II remain a tantalizing what if, a ghost ship forever on the horizon? The coming months will be critical.